Well, I'm happy you're all here. My name is Jay Preston. I did this last year, but I focused it just on the weekly workout group, VO Weekly Workout, that I am one of the runners of. But I wanted to redo it because there's so much more, and I can still get through a lot of that information about the VO Weekly Workout and give you all the extra information and the whole reason why I love these weekly workouts so much and why it's so important. The other reason is I started to when I first started and took the big leap into voiceover, I had $3,000 I had saved up in the bank waiting tables. And at that, I was living paycheck to paycheck really well, like tip to tip. 3,000 was actually a lot that I had saved up. And I thought, well, that's a couple of months. That's like 3 months of rent back then, 18 years ago. Um, and then I took the leap and I quit and I was just doing voiceover. And then a month went by and I was dwindling that money down very quickly. But I needed to take classes, workshops, and things like that. So every little bit of money, I had to figure out how to make it go as far as it possibly could. And these workouts are really what that's all about. So let's start. I'm going to start with the VO Weekly Workout. That's the one that I help run. But okay, we're going to talk about inexpensive weekly VO workouts. So the VO Weekly Workout, it's only $20 up to 40 because there's like via weekly workout plus. Some people get to be in front of the person via Zoom, like you are right now. But mostly it's just $20 every time we do it. So the via weekly workout is basically when one of our guest directors is here and they'll give you copy, right? So you sign up for the weekly workout. I want in, 20 bucks goes. You'll get copy. You'll get direction from the guest director, and you get to lay down 2 takes. You want to show range, you want to listen to whatever the director said, and give your best 2 takes. Then you have a week to get that in, and then a week later the workout closes, and then the director has a week to like do all her feedback or his feedback written, and then you're going to get that feedback when she's all done. Everyone gets the feedback, so you'll go over here and say, "Oh, I want that feedback," and all the feedback will be here. This is who did it, what the feedback was. Some little great, you did great, you need improvement. And the thing I want to talk about here is how to use this, right? So yeah, you send it in and you get your feedback and you get your 2 takes and you get your feedback and there it is. And you could leave it right there. And I did for many a time. I just left and I wanted my feedback. I was very selfish. But then I realized I'm also getting everyone else who submitted and I can read their feedback. And so I started to spend some time with that and go find the feedback that I wanted and read what, I didn't get so great feedback. I wanted really good feedback. So I'd go find that good feedback and I'd see why. I'd listen back, see if I could like listen to see what the director was actually saying with their feedback. So what you want to do with the workouts is take chances and try things out. The more that that's your place to do it. It's only $20. The directors are going to give you legit feedback. So we always like try to take chances in auditions, and you never know. You're shooting into the wind, and but this is a way to try those things out that you learned in a class or a workshop or something, or just wanted to be different, and see what the feedback is. Was that well received? So I always do that with the workouts. I try something new if I can, or like I take that chance I necessarily wouldn't feel super comfortable taking in a real audition. So that's a place to do it. Give it your absolute best. Never phone it in because you want feedback. You want to send in exactly what you would have sent in to the casting director or to your agent. The best you think you could possibly do. And then listen to what you did again after a week or 2 weeks have gone by. And then read the feedback again. And then listen again. And try to make sense of everything that the director, whoever gave the feedback, said. Like, make sense of that if you can. And then find the feedback that you wanted, that others got, and then do the same thing. Feedback, read it, listen to what they did, read the feedback again, and re-listen and think to yourself, would I give that same feedback to this person now having heard it? Pretend you're the casting director during these. Ask, who is that person and where do you stand with like what they delivered? Did you believe what they said? Would you cast them? Would you put them in like a maybe list? And you can spend like a good hour or two pretending you're the casting director with like up to 50 different auditions. And who did you immediately skip and why when you're doing this pretend you're the casting director thing? Go through all, if the director gave three different scripts, find those scripts and say like, okay, now I'm going to be the casting director for the Domino script. And I'm going to only listen to people who did Dominoes. And I'm going to pretend I'm a casting director. So I'm going to write down in my notes, who are the five people? I can only send five to the client. Who would I choose? So you go through and then make sure you're asking yourself, why are you doing that? Why are you choosing that? And you might even get to your own and be like, I would or would not choose me, and be honest with yourself. Um, Another great thing to do with these workouts, the VO Weekly workout, is to listen to the audio quality of others. Like, where do you stand in the big world of voiceover who's competing for the same gig? Um, you listen to 20 different, say, Domino's auditions, you'll start to listen and hear that some people's equipment doesn't sound the greatest. And you'll start to realize what a USB mic sounds like and what an XLR mic sounds like. Listen to those qualities, see where you stand. Is your quality better than the best or equal to the best? Or are you sticking out as that your audio is too low? Or, there's so many things you can learn. There's the audio gurus, yes. And I am not anywhere near those. But after all this time, I've learned what I can pick up if there's too much echo in a room. Like, I don't have this is just a room, so there's echo in this one. If I was in the booth, you wouldn't hear any echo. This time through with this little webinar, I'm using an actual 416 because the other audio sounded bad when I went back and listened to the last one I did. And I said, help, can I please redo this and make it better? And hopefully I am. Voicecaster has a virtual VO workout group, and it's from $10 to $15. And it's great. It's run by the people who run Voicecaster, and they cast a lot of things. So it's always great to get your voice out in front of them. For this one, it's only the Voicecaster folk. So there's, I think it goes through 3 or 4 people on rotation that you'll get every week. And they always want, you can send in 1 take or you can send in 2 takes, and there's 2 different short scripts. So for 15, you get to do both and you get feedback on both. For 10, you pick one. And so, which is great because you can pick the script that is in your wheelhouse, right? And they always want you to give 2 takes and show range. So the great thing about their workshop is you really try out this range thing that everyone asks for in auditions. Go for the extremes. Show that range as best you can. This is where you take those chances again. And always do both scripts. I mean, for an extra $5, just do both scripts, give 2 great takes. It's great practice. Also, keep the scripts for your practice. Keep the ones you were really good at. Keep the ones in a folder that say, I got great feedback on these. Maybe folder ones that you didn't get great feedback on that you wanted to work on. So then you have scripts for the next workout or workshop you do. I wish I had started keeping scripts 18 years ago. I started keeping scripts like 5 years ago, and it's immensely helpful. And when you start keeping track of your progress, so it's for some people and it isn't for some people, but even it's not for me, but when I started to do it, I started to improve. So who's to say what that life lesson was there? So I say keep the scripts that you love, and keep all the scripts anyway, put them in different folders. For who knows, make it your own. Another great one with this is re-record with the notes and bring it to another coach, right? So you could re-record with the notes you got, and then if you're doing a one-on-one coaching or something like that, you could bring the script in and say, here's where it started. These are the notes I got. Here's how I did. What do you think, fresh ears, my coach that I trust? And that's free. That was free for you to do it and get more. Well, it's not free for having another coach, but you know what I'm saying. You can just get better and start to improve. And like a lot of people just do a workshop and they get their feedback and they're done with it. And I don't think it helps you fully to the extent it can. If you can do things like this, re-record it, try to make it better. If you get it, then maybe you're doing a regular workshop with Kelly or someone from the Voicecaster, and it happens to be their script, and you have your notes, so you knew that, and you could say, "Hey, could you just have a listen to this and see, who knows what could happen?" Then you go back, listen to the original and the new one. And do you hear the difference? And then you can read her feedback and do that kind of feedback back and forth. The VO Camps Pump It Up workshops, $20 to $95. They do not just commercial, you can do video game scripts, animation. So that's a great place to like work out that muscle as well. And again, when you get these auditions that you really want, put a tracker on them in your computer. Put a folder that's just like auditions I wish I booked, auditions I booked, callbacks, and then in those folders, callbacks I booked, callbacks I didn't book. It helps you in the long, even if you can't see how that's going to help you now, it'll help you in the long run. Also with these workshops, please, for goodness sakes, look up extensively the guest director that you're going to be working with. What have they done? Are they in other places doing different workshops? Like, it's great to get in front of somebody once, but to like keep it going, especially someone you look up to or want to work with, find out where else they're going to be and show up again, and maybe show up. Some of them let you show up with work that you've already done, or if it's the same workshop twice in a year, sometimes it's the same scripts. So you can come in for the better feedback with them and be like, look at all the work I've done. I'm pretty awesome. So that is inexpensive workshops right there. That's the end of section 1, inexpensive workshops. Okay, let's do it. What do you think each participant should come out feeling after your weekly workouts? Well, they should probably come out feeling like the director listened, took their time to give great feedback that was for you. I think that's what I would hope that people would come out of the weekly workout feeling like I did my work, I presented it, I got feedback that I agree with, or if I don't agree with feedback, that's where that listen back and forth thing comes in. Listen to it. Take a day off, come back with fresh ears. I know from personal experience, moods can affect how I read feedback, especially emails, feedbacks, things like that. Like, you can read it with however your mood will color the feedback. And people always take things the wrong way sometimes. So do the listen back feedback, listen back feedback, listen back feedback thing, and see if you can understand from different perspectives first before getting mad or thinking that they weren't, see where that goes. And then if you still feel kind of like, feedback sucked and I don't agree with it, blah, 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 reach out to a peer, see what they think. Reach out to one of us at the VO Weekly Workout and talk to us and see what you think. Maybe we can share some insights with you, because everyone should be learning and getting better. Okay. If you're just starting out, how do you know what might be in your wheelhouse? That's a great question. You don't really. The way that I know, I didn't know what my wheelhouse was for so long. And it's because I was getting in front of Mike and putting on a voice for a while. I was like being whatever. And then I learned, and then I got better just at being myself. And then I realized I started to watch commercials more and more and realize that fits my personality and the way I talk. And so then you start to realize your wheelhouse is like, some people have huge wheelhouses and some people have like 5 things they do. And some people have just like 1 thing they do. So yeah, it's a matter of like, what resonates with you when you hear a commercial, and what commercials do you think to yourself, that's what I want to do. Like, I always thought I wanted to do documentaries just like David Attenborough. Well, I learned I don't sound like David Attenborough, so I can't do his kind of documentaries. So I rearranged my thought. I know my wheelhouse is more like, it still could be Discovery Channel, but it's not going to be the way he does it. Are the weekly reviews only commercial? They tend to be only commercial in the Voicecaster one. So sometimes they do put characters in there. The VO Weekly Workout, if you go to the VO Weekly Workout page and you see who's upcoming, it ranges from animation directors to video game directors to commercial directors to promo directors, and to just feedback tech people. So it can be anywhere. And the VO Camp one can be all as well, commercial and video games and all that. That's my wife making squeaky noises. Jake Hall says, when did you start to feel like your nerves in front of people stopped affecting your performance? Even in front of just a coach, I feel very nervous and I don't feel like I'm at my best. Yeah, that took me 2 years to stop being nervous when I got into a new booth or in front of a new director or just in general when it was an actual session, because the nerves do kick in and you're like, it's realizing you're meant to be where you are. Like when it's a little thing that clicks on. It's like I'm meant to be here because you already did the work, right? The audition was the hard part, and or the callback or whatever. That was the hard part. Now they already like you. Once you realize and you let yourself realize that people already like you because they picked your voice and they just want you to do what you do, and what you do is good enough because it just beat out however many people. You'll get more and more confident, and you realize that the director and the people behind the glass are just people just like you and me. And the more you make friends with those kinds of people, the easier that becomes as well. So that's why I always say go into if you can do live workshops in studios, the more you can be in those environments that you'll end up in, the less nervous you'll become because it'll start to feel like your local coffee shop. So hopefully that helped. And last question for this part is, would these virtual type workouts be considered coaching sessions? No, because they're just you're working out your VO muscle. You're working out like because coaching sessions are like back and forth a bunch. You run something a bunch of times. So I would say it's not really a coaching session. You can't say like I got coached, but I mean you did get coached on something you did, but it's not the same in my world. I could be wrong though, but coaching's coming up, so we'll get to that, what actually one-on-one coaching is. Are weekly workouts appropriate for someone just starting out in VO? Are they bet? No, they're super appropriate for just starting out. That's where you get to like try things out, see what works and what doesn't work. And I still do them. Like 18 years later, I'm still doing weekly workouts to get my voice in front of somebody. Because a lot of the people who do weekly workouts are there literally to help. It's not like trying to get you a job. They want these up and coming voice actors and people to be better, to get better, and that's why they're putting their time in and giving their time. Here's all my little tips and tricks for like the expensive ones, putting your money, hard-earned money, where it goes. Be practical. Focus on your greatest strengths and where you are right now in your journey. So many people they get into voiceover, they immediately want to do anime, video games, animation. That is the hardest thing, in my opinion, to do for the majority of people just getting going. It takes a lot. It takes acting training. It takes so much. So be practical. What is going to keep you working, keep you training, and keep paying your bills? For me, it was e-learning and explainer videos. Then I moved to commercial. And then as I got better at commercials and telling stories, I got better at video games. And then so it's been a nice balance now. Pick the people who can benefit you the most. If you're only going to have one workshop every 3 months, again, it goes back to your greatest strengths and your wheelhouse thing. Or if you're just diehard passionate, I don't want to do anything but any anime, absolutely go in that direction. There's so many workshops and classes and things like that you can just hone in on. If it motion capture, that's all I want to do. Again, classes, workshops, give your time, do as many of them as you can, and only do those because that's where your hard-earned money is going to go. Be prepared and do your research on, again, the person you're going to be going in for. What have they done? What's their breadth of work? Ask around. Have you ever worked with this person? And see so you can go in kind of prepared, less nervous. Have a definite goal on the expensive workshops. Before you even put your money down, write down, what is my goal if I take this workshop? Definite goal. And that will help immensely. It sounds like an extra step that is annoying or like homework, but like some people don't have they just want to show up and be taken to Hollywood. So have a goal. At this end of this workshop, I want to feel this way. I want to have accomplished this thing. I want to feel good about, I want to get 3 compliments, whatever it is, as long as it's some type of goal. These workshops work on your intro. Make it short, make it succinct, and make it all about you, and not like braggy or show-offy intro, not like, hi, I'm this, and I do musical theater and improv and this thing. You can tell me, and I've done all these, and I ride a horseback. You don't have to do any of that. Just work on your intro, short, succinct, and just make it about you. Where are you from? How long has your journey been? Where are you at in your journey? What are your definite goals for this workshop and the future? Nice and quick, and then let the next person talk. Don't ask questions that show off anything. A lot of people, anybody got any questions? Don't ask a question that is telling someone what you're good at in the like hidden in the question. Because I didn't know that was a thing, and then at the more workshops you go into, you hear everyone's like intro, and then somebody goes, uh, yes, hi. Coming from a musical background where I sing tenor and I have done these shows and I have even been, I was even at one time, they go trail off and they never get to the end of their question. And I know if some people probably have been like, I've been in those workshops. Or you're like, oh, that was me. Don't be that person. Um, Listen to everyone and their feedback. Um, a lot of people in these workshops will be so worried about what they're going to do and the feedback they got that they're missing gems of wisdom that the director is giving somebody else who just did a good job or didn't do a good job or needs to do something better. And you can like pick up on this, as they're reading their script, you think, how would I react to that script? You can take like the casting director side. You could be like, how would I react to that? Or you could say, is what the feedback he's giving, do I agree and why? Like there's so much to if you're just listening to what's actually going on and not like wanting to like just I can't wait to get to the bar. Um, don't make the same mistakes others make, because that means you weren't listening, especially to the director. Because if he just told someone not to do this one thing and then you go and do that one thing, use the tips and advice in your own reads. So like as if somebody goes up, and this has happened so many times to me, like somebody will go up and do a read very similar to how I thought I was going to do it, and then I'll hear their feedback and I'll be like, oh, cool. I will do it a different way or the same way, but use those tips and see if we can all get on the same page. In these expensive workshops, make friends with those that are better than you. I literally chased workshops where I wanted to be bad, and I was trying my best, but I was like the not the best person, and I would be in awe of these people who were killing it, and I'd want to go to their next workshop. I'd want to be like, hey, you were so great today. Are you doing any more workshops coming up? Or, because I want to learn from you because I vibe well, and I've learned so much by following and making friends with the good, not following like a crazy person, but making friends with the people who I looked up to. And we all were rising together. And I was like, that's great. I'm going to create a group where it's just us all killing it in workshops and having a good time and learning from each other. And that's where the Voiceover Collective showed up. Um, don't make excuses, just take the direction and advice. A lot of us are human, and we all get like, someone says that was bad because of this. We immediately want to be like, well, no, I was making this choice because of this, and all these reasons. Um, in these workshops, they're expensive and it's a lot of people's time and they're short and people want to give the most information. It's best if you just don't make excuses for yourself. Just take the direction and advice, and whether or not you agree, play the devil's advocate. Like I didn't like that direction, but um, I can see why. Or is it not coming out of my that's great. Is it not coming out of my mouth the way I thought it was to other people's ears? Um, ask yourself these questions and don't get so defensive. People have these walls that they go in, and whether it's nerves or walls or like they want to pretend like they're awesome or they are awesome, but anyways, they have these walls. I say let down the walls and be open and let yourself be vulnerable, especially if anyone wants to do commercial work, I mean, animation and video games. Often the way to booking those gigs is to letting yourself, especially this day and age, feel the things the characters are feeling and be vulnerable and take down your walls. Um, and when your walls are down, this direction will come in and you will see it in a different light. You won't be bouncing off you and forgetting half what the person's saying. And who cares what everyone else thinks? It's really not about that, you know? Because if you're honest with yourself, are you always judging other people in a way that's like you're like, is everyone doing that to me? Because if you have that feeling, I would say like maybe lessen that. Because I've never been in a workshop being like, that person sucks and I don't like their earrings ever. Give it your absolute best. Give 110%. If you're too tired that day and this is the one workshop and you want to impress that person and you're just out of it, cancel. Do a workshop when you can give your best and you can put your best foot forward and get the right direction. Because if you half-ass it and then you get direction, it didn't do you any good because you wouldn't have half-assed an actual audition that you really wanted. And if you loved the workshop, I'd say take it again. By Joves, take the workshop one more time because why not? You love the workshop, you love the person. There will be new advice, there will be new people taking it, and it's really fun to take a workshop. You're like, again, if you know, I wouldn't say just only take that one workshop over and over again. You get me. So that's that one. The next one we're going to talk about is one-on-one coaching, but for that, let's go over to some questiones. How do you practice conveying authenticity in your performance and deliveries? Asking as someone whose voice and accent shifted over time. Well, you're talking to a guy whose accent shifted over time because I came from Boston and I had to learn how to talk like not someone from Boston or the East Coast. And I got older, so my voice was a lot younger and less raspy at one point when I started VO, and now it is older and it has more rasp, and there's almost nothing I can do about it. So authenticity comes from just being you, regardless of what happens to your voice and your accent. So practice conveying that is to pay attention to conversations you have in real life and how you talk and all your little isms and all the things that make you you. Like some people have a little tick when they talk or a lisp, or they say talk, you know, so if talk is really you and you can't get out of talk, put talk in your actual stuff and see what happens. Be as authentic to yourself because that's the only person that's going to beat out anybody else. And so for me, I've spent a lot of time just listening to myself in real life conversations, which is weird. It's kind of like you like pull yourself back sometimes, or you hear what you just said, how you said it. That's, you know, it's kind of like how you know you're drunk sometimes. You hear yourself and you're like, oh, I should stop talking. So yeah, that's how you practice authenticity, in my opinion. Let's go to the next one. Do you think workshops/classes are an effective way to network, get landed with more serious projects, agencies? I market myself on social media and audition regularly, but I'm not so sure where to start when it's come to selecting an agency or how to even get attention from an agency. Totally get you. Yes. One of the reasons I love the VO Weekly Workout so much, so super short history of it, it was Voice Bank a long time ago. There was a thing called Voice Bank. Every actor was on it. Every agent was on it. And they had a VO Weekly Workout. That was $10 a week. And that's when I learned about it. Then this pay-to-play site that shall not be named bought it, and it was gone. And immediately me, Tim Friedlander, and Brad Venable got together and we were like, one of our favorite things is gone. It's so important for the industry. I've learned so much at a very small dollar. How do we keep it alive? Immediately bought the web domain voweeklyworkout.com and kept it alive, made it better. And now it still exists. And this is why I'm so passionate about, because people just getting, I mean, I wouldn't be anywhere with it. I didn't get started on it. That to say, I did get 3 agents out of doing those workshops back in the day. So yes, it can happen. I wasn't after them. I was practicing, trying to do my best and stuff like that. And that's one of those things I want to make sure everyone, you know, don't do them to maybe get a job or maybe get an agent. Do them to really better yourself. And if you're doing that, the world will reward you. Keep true to yourself. Keep doing it for yourself. And if it's not making you happy, stop doing it. So if you're just having fun and trying to be the best you can be, the world will provide, and you will get agents and possible leads. Not a promise. Of course, I can't promise that. But it's the possibility in the world is out there for that kind of stuff. You might be on a talent roster. You never know what video game director doing these workshops has games coming up. And if they just heard something, they might reach out to whoever to get your information. It has happened. It doesn't always happen, but it has. So it's a possibility. Any tips on how to get the most out of private coaching? Okay, we'll get into that in the next one. Can you keep that one up? Don't let that one leave, so I'll touch back on that one. How do you recommend practicing to make more normal, mundane dialogue feel more interesting? That is letting yourself out. Um, it it really comes from connecting, substituting. Like if it's something I don't care about in the world in my real life, I will substitute it for like mostly always like PlayStation 5 gaming. I'll just substitute the feeling of like if this was about the PlayStation 5 and my new favorite game, this I would get very excited when I talked about it or whatever it is. And if it's a sad thing, you substitute something that was more sad for you. And it's not like the substituting is easier than most people think. It's you think about it and then you put yourself in that mode. You know, when I think about my grandfather, I have a different way of talking and it's more warming and like I love the guy. So it's like it just puts me in a mode. I hope that makes sense. Um, but seek out also, Robbie, seek out those that because if you do the Voicecaster one, they'll tell you what the script is ahead of time, right? So if you see mundane copy, jump on that workshop because then you can be trying to make it more interesting and see if it worked. Is doing a little improv inside here or changing my perspective, is that working? And you'll get the feedback. It's kind of amazing. Are there any books on acting techniques or theory you would recommend for new actors and you would recommend for veteran actors? Books, books, books. Yes. One of my favorite books is Improvise by Mark Napier, and True and False by David Mamet. Got me through a lot. But Mark Napier's Improvise is really good. Succinct, I said it right that time, and gets to the point and doesn't like there's some improv books that are really nice and thick, and then there's ones that are just like they start to make sense quicker. I like those books. And for newbies and veteran, that voiceover voice actor book by Yuri Lowenthal and Tara Platt was my Bible when I started. Like I was just getting into VO and I had just met them and they gave me their first edition in person at a St. Patty's Day festival thing. And I read it top to bottom and I picked up a lot of stuff. And then I would go to workshops, I'd learn, and a month later I'd pick it back up again and I would pick up so much more stuff because it is for like the beginner and the advanced. And 3 or 4 months would go by, I'd do a bunch more workshops, I'd get better, I'd pick the book up and I'd be like, it's been here the whole time, the answer to my question. So I do that. As I said, I go back to workshops sometimes that I really like the teacher or whatever, and I'll go back to books because there's so much information that I'll pass over or just won't make sense at that point in my life. And so I highly recommend that one. One more talking juice, one more water, one more question here. How do you get out of your head or deal with imposters? I was just talking to my wife, Meg, about that very thing. Even to this day, there are some times where I'm walking and I'm going, oh, I don't know if I'm good enough to be here, and I'm here. Well, Spider-Man 2 just came out, and it's the third game I worked with Insomniac on. Third game, and still I'm in the studio, and I'm like, I had it came back for a minute, the little imposter thing where I'm like, am I faking it too good? But I think it's a human thing, and if you're an actor, it's definitely an actor thing regardless. I will give you a quick quip from one of my favorite things I ever learned from Charlie Adler is I had taken a workshop with him, taken another one, and then I found out he did some private coaching. So I started to do private coaching with him. And if you don't know Charlie Adler, look him up IMDb later. You'll be like, oh. He's amazing. Just an amazing guy, amazing teacher. I really vibed well with that teacher and I stuck for a while. Most important thing I ever got from him was I was at his house. We're working on a script and he says, okay, you read it over, you did your work, lay it down and tell me what you think. So I did the character and then he goes, what do you think? I said, well, I could probably do it better. He's like, okay, do it better. So I did another take, I did everything and he goes, what do you think? And it didn't change he didn't seem, I didn't know if I was good or not. I felt out of place and I was like, maybe I could have probably changed. And he goes, I'll never hire you. You're never going to be hired by me. I want somebody who, when I hire them and I tell them to do something, they do it the best they can do it. He said the first take was perfect. He says, I wouldn't have changed a thing, but you didn't believe in yourself. And whatever that was for me, it switched a little button, and I started to deliver. When I did stuff, I did it to the best that I could because of him, and it has worked. And I have booked a lot of things. So do that for if you're feeling you belong where you are. And if you book a job and you got the job, you're the person for that job. I mean, it goes through a lot to get to you to become the person who booked. So the faster you can move past that and just have that little light bulb go off, the better you'll be in the long run. Okay, great. There we go. Okay, good. This one is not very long, so let's move on to the next one. One-on-one coaching is awesome. I find my coaches through workshops. So I do the workshops, especially the inexpensive ones. Find the person you vibe with. I mean, for some people, it's just the person who gave you the best advice. You're like, I want to chase good jobs. And if that's you, you'll find that coach. I was after the person who continually told me I was bad, but I could see that they wanted to make me better. And that became my kind of coach. So you find the person who vibes with you. And don't just get stuck on one coach. Be a well-rounded person. You didn't go to elementary school, middle school, and just go to science. Like they made sure you went to all the things, all the people, all the different teachers. And you didn't just do science, that one teacher all years. Every year was a different teacher, new perspectives, same topic. And so like think about that for your career. Find different flavors, and you won't vibe with everybody because everyone's different. You will vibe with people who are super on your vibe. I said vibe so many times. I hate myself. Um, Anyways, once you find your person, be prepared. Make sure you have the materials. If they give you anything ahead of time, go over those materials, go over notes. Have samples of things you want to work with, depending on what your coaching is, or if it's life coaching or commercial or whatever. Make sure your goals are in order because it's one-on-one time, so it's like a lot. Most workshops you're gonna get tops 15, 20 minutes of like you time with whoever it is. But this you're paying for like 30, a whole full hour, maybe two. And the more prepared you can be and the more like ready for it and you have goals, the more you'll get out of it. If you just come to somebody for an hour and you're not sure and you just want to discover, you'll get somewhere for sure, but you won't get as far as you could if you didn't take the time ahead of time to work on what prepare yourself. Have goals for each session. Communicate and follow up. Always ask questions. When it's a one-on-one, no question is out of bounds. Well, I'm sure there are out of bounds questions, but just ask the questions that you wouldn't normally ask in a group setting. Like, hey, let's take a personal moment. You've told me this 7 times. I keep trying. I'm not doing what you want. How do I work through this? Let your walls down, because the person who's coaching you really wants, if they wouldn't put their names up on a thing to be coachable by if they like didn't care, because there's so many great actors who I wish were coaches, and it's not that they don't care, it's that they don't have time or there's not coach material. Like for some reason, I mean, I even taught summer theater and stuff. I always like to give back. It's how I got places. I learned. And so like I just ended up being pretty good at communicating important shit to people fast because I'm from Boston, maybe. So I wish to goodness there was a few of them. I'm like, I wish they'd coach because I could learn a lot from a Nolan North. So anyway, those are my things for one-on-one. Like once you've gone through all these workshops and you hone in on somebody, it's really just about the preparation and being ready and knowing where you want to go, knowing your goals. Because somebody who comes to a coach, and there's a lot of predatory-ish coaches out there that like, I know not named, but they're out there. So like the thing to be careful of is like if you come without goals and you don't see your progress, they'll continually be happy with taking your money. And for as long as you want them to be your coach. So the more you can venture out, get other ideas, other people to, do the same scripts with different coaches and see what the feedback is. There are so many different, casting directors who have different trains of thought. And they're not crazy. They just have different train. That was a train. They have different train. That was a train going down a mountain of thought. How long did it take you to not have your heart pounding in your chest every time you performed, even for just a coach? I feel like I'm not starting at my best because I'm so nervous. I would ask you, Jake, have you ever done any form of live theater or taken an acting class? And I'm going to guess your answer is no. And so I would suggest if you could find an acting class or an improv class and get on your feet in front of people that you don't know, where you have to like do scenes and improv, especially because sometimes you don't know what you're going to say. So that improv's a great way to break out of it. If that is not available to you, if you can't take a live class or then I would say find a coach that isn't too expensive and work with them on like a half hour basis. There's Skills Hub out there and you can join for a very low monthly cost. Tons of coaches on there that you can pay for by the minute. Um, and so you could like whatever money you have, you could do a one-on-one with a coach until you find one that you kind of feel less nervous about and do a one-on-one with them as often as you can. And the more you work with them, the more you'll loosen up. And then you'll feel like, because then you'll be doing it in your booth and you'll be feeling better in your booth. And maybe your booth is the problem. Who knows? But some people have such a like hospital bed booth. It's just blah. I have so much stuff in my booth that is like inspiration, pictures, little paintings, like the Joker's in there because I would love to play the Joker one day. And so like I have all this inspiration. So like I like being in my booth. It's a place that is safe. You know, it's just me, and I like being in there, and I have fun in there. Um, the Native Americans have this thing called a worry basket, and they would put it outside one of the main tents, and they'd go in and they'd put their worries in that basket, and they would do have their meeting, and everyone would be peaceful and one, and they would take their worries and shit with them after they left out of the basket. I have one outside of my booth, and I don't bring any of my day to day in. Like it's a safe place. I become safe. So like I feel safer, you know? And if that's right for you, maybe try that out. Um, but reach out, you know, I'll help you out more. Is your booth at home? Can you describe it? Yeah, usually I'm in my booth when I do these things. I didn't want to be for a while. I was like, it's a closet booth and I'm a professional. Um, but that's how I started doing voiceover. My booth sounds just as good as some of the top booths out here in LA, and did that on purpose. And I worked on it real hard, and I like being in there. And it's three steps from my bed. My pajamas are my work clothes. And so I started doing workshops and things like that from there because most of everybody is in a closet booth or a space that they've made their own. The microphones are getting better and better, and so is noise canceling equipment and stuff like that. So more and more people are just using what they can to do great work, and I think it's super important. So yeah, that's what mine is. One day I'll have a nice big one that's like professionally built and looks out into mountains. No one has asked this yet, but oh, what is that shirt? Oh, this is the We've Got Issues shirt, the new voiceover resource guide shirt. I also run that. So if you don't have a voiceover resource guide, go out and get one today. Thevorg.net. We make them twice a year. They're great. We have a new shirt now. It's awesome. We've got issues 77. Look, here's the back. 77. Jay, stop wasting time. You only got 4 minutes left. Okay. I work a pretty irregular schedule for my job, so I don't feel like I have a lot of time to spend on getting better. In your opinion, and I'm only laughing because I'm from the East Coast. I can't help it. In your opinion, what do you think is the best method from going out of practicing for improvement? Something that doesn't involve the mentally draining grind. I hear you. I worked a pretty irregular schedule as well. If it isn't like if you're not looking forward to getting to work on voiceover, and then you're like, oh, I can't wait to just get back. Whenever I worked my other crap jobs, I was like, when I found VO, I was like a kid in a candy store again. I was very jaded. I came out here for on camera. Long story. I was gonna go back to Boston or move to Scotland or something, and then I found voiceover, and the fire got lit again, and I was like, I couldn't wait to just practice, get better, and start doing that. So if you don't feel that, maybe it's not 100% right for you. But if you do have that there and you still don't have a lot of time, the time is the killer, right? So like I put in whatever. That's why these like little workshops that I can do on my time, like the weekly workout and stuff. You got Voicecasters is you got all weekend to do it. Ours, you have a whole week to get it in. So it's like you sign up, You can work it out on your time, you get it in on your time, and you get that feedback. And keeping these scripts and doing the kind of stuff I said earlier is like how you can continue to practice whenever you find that time. So that's what I would say. Just do your best. And as soon as I quit my job, I didn't just have free time. I put all that time into marketing, learning, website design, all this other stuff that we need to do as just an actor. Um, so I also recommend that to everybody. Like once you have that more time, once you take the leap to just do VO full time, put all the time you would have put into another job into the VO lifestyle. You'll just get farther faster. Not quite sure how to ask this. You talk about taking chances and trying things out in workouts. I realize the process is very personal, but would you mind sharing how you go about doing this? Do you just follow your instincts? Oh, you have to follow. If you're near Dallas, I'll be in Dallas at the One Voice conference talking all about that. I also do workshops every now and then. My website, jpreston.com, there's a little learn tab. Whenever I have like one-off workshops or things like that, or I put together little tiny improv workshops, I could just get on my email list or send me an email and I could totally go talk for like another half hour on that. But can I give you anything right now? You're talking chances of trying. Ooh, you do two takes, right? You have one take and you're like, this conversation, you're trying to do your best, be conversational. And then your second take can't sound anything like that one. So like go back and forth. It can't be the same pace. You can't have the same moments. You can't have the same feeling, the conversation. Like it has to change energy, pacing, perspective, everything. And that's how you can show this fun range. So make sure, if it's even kind of close, but a little different, it's not different enough, in my opinion. So kind of work on that for now. Although everyone's path is unique, what would you say generally is a way to go from part-time VO to full-time VO? Well, basically, what I've been like, do the workout whenever you have the time. Because for California, 3 hours from the East Coast. So like depending on where you are, if you're an East Coaster, you get so much more time in the day to do these workshops and stuff like that. Because California is not done until like I'm still getting stuff from my agents at 7. So you have a lot of time. There's a lot of different regional agents too, all around the country, and I get so many opportunities that I don't get in LA from like Ohio or Pittsburgh. So there's so much and a lot of recording studios all around the country. And there's a nice map on the Vorg about all the recording studios in the entire country. You might want to check it out. See if there's a recording studio near you or something like that, or a small one. See if they're doing workshops. Some of these recording studios after the pandemic have been doing everything they can to stay afloat. So workshops, classes, they have their own little talent rosters as well for quick jobs. So it's like you never know until you know. 7 o'clock. Any last questions?
Yeah, so to elaborate on the first question that we have in the Q&A box, regarding private coaching, I'm just gonna read it straight from chat. Sometimes I want to be fully present and do not take notes. Then I think back and cannot always remember specific notes to use for future auditions. Wondering if it's better to take notes or just try to internalize the session.
I see what you're saying. Thank you so much for taking the time to explain that. Yes, and I totally hear you. You want to take the notes to remember, but you want to be present. I would edge on the present. Ask if the coach or whatever doesn't mind you hitting record on your phone, so it could take the whole thing in. And I would choose present over writing something, unless you have an aha moment. If there's like you're listening and you're fully intent and they say something, because that's what we're all after in these workshops and the classes and things like that, is the aha moment, that the thing that clicks for us personally and moves us up a step in the ladder of life, whatever, or success. Like the aha moment moves you. So I chase them. I'm like, who can, for me, the Charlie Adler, I mean, I had like 5 aha moments just working with him. So and there's many others, Bill Holmes, and so many other people I've worked with. It's like, oh God, people have told me the same thing over and over again in my life. And then it's not until that one person tells you in that one special way that's the aha moment. Write those down in the notes. But I would be more present. You'll pick up more and trust your subconscious. It's listening. Whether you aren't remembering, your subconscious is listening. And so, and that's one of my big things on the improv world. It's like you, the more you trust yourself and just let whatever fly out your mouth without overthinking everything, the faster connection, the smarter you'll be, the funnier you'll be, the more you'll realize you're retained. Like when I start these things where I'm going to talk about stuff, I have bullet points and I have no idea what I'm going to say, but who know, and I don't know where I'm going to look either. Always staring at this guy. Here he is. There's my buddy. Board question. I have issue 76. Do I need 77? You don't need it, but there is a chance to win a microphone on page 8 here. Just having this Vorg, you can just be like, I have this one now, and post it, and then you're entered into a chance to win a pretty sweet microphone. We do diligently update all the stuff in here. So like it's up to date on the most current union rates. There's a lot, some of these ads are actually like, they have discount codes for stuff, which is very smart for these people. So there's like some coaching that could even be cheaper if you just happen to find it in some of the ads here. Voicecaster is our gold sponsor, and so that you can get discounts on their workshops and things like that, which is great. Same as the Help Network is our silver sponsor, and they have discounts as well, I believe. So yeah, there's a lot in here and a lot of new stuff. So we have new ads every, well, twice a year, and there's new events that get events that get advertised in the advertisement. I was trying to not say it that way, but I did. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in and spending this hour with me. You know where to find me now, a whole bunch of places. And this, I think, is going to be somewhere that you can watch it again. So those of you who took notes, you didn't have to do that. Okay. Have a great rest of your week, everybody.
Thank
Thanks
you,
for having me.
everyone. Have a great night. And thank you, Jay. Bye.
Bye.